taking some notes for me, Miss Beatty. I saw you came prepared.
I did.
Look, I'm slowly but surely learning how to read your handwriting.
Depends on how fast I'm writing. You can read it.
Well, at least my generation, we were able to learn cursive. You know, I think the generations after me, they stopped teaching cursive in elementary school.
Yeah, Lily, my 14-year-old, taught herself because they weren't teaching it in school.
I heard they were back teaching cursive.
No,
Is that true?
I don't know.
We're going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Downtown Development Authority to order. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Mr. Day. Ms. Coggins is not here. Ms. Cahill had a death in her family. She's going to be able to make it. Ms. McGill.
Here.
Ms. Beatty.
Here.
Mr. Hett.
Here.
And Ms. Huckabee.
Here.
We want to welcome Ms. Huckabee to our board. Ms. Elizabeth was appointed at City Council on Tuesday night. We're excited to have her here and join the DDA and help us with some of the decisions we're trying to make for downtown Thomaston and the future of this community. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move to the first item, which will be C, approval of minutes from our January 14th meeting. Questions, concerns, discussion? Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah, second.
We'll get a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All right, item D, we'll go ahead and adopt today's agenda. Any discussion, concerns, questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move to our first facade grant reimbursement request. And this is going to be for 103 West Gordon Street, Miss Natasha Cromer. So Miss Cromer has the facility here on the square. In your packet, I've included all of her facade grant information, where she applied for the facade grant, the exterior of the building prior to the renovations, the rendering that was approved by HPC prior to the renovations. And then as well, the very last thing is going to be, or the next to last thing, is going to be the picture of the building now that has been completed. And I have to say, it definitely has made a huge change on that side of the square.
Okay.
So with that being said, though, Ms. Cromer did not pay for this, her portion of the facade. McElroy will be covering that portion of the facade expense because McElroy owns the building. All right. So staff recommendation, they haven't made that payment yet to the contractor, so I don't have a receipt to say, hey, let's go ahead and reimburse McElroy for this expenditure. But Russell has given me permission to let's go ahead and get this approved for reimbursement, contingent upon McElroy making that payment to the contractor, and then we will then reimburse McElroy for that $2,500 expense. Does that make sense? Any questions, concerns?
Well, all right, so McElroy owns the building.
Yes.
And
So this was done as a part of the HGTV stuff.
Okay.
And, you know, we rushed through this for the show. Ms. Cromer did not have any funding available to her at the time to complete those renovations.
But our facade grant.
Can only be repaid to either the property owner or the business owner.
Okay.
So in a sense, we can't write a check to the contractor for that work.
Okay. So we're within the guidelines.
Yes.
Okay.
McElroy has to be the person to write that check, and then we just reimburse McElroy for that expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the actual the invoice from the contractor for the $2,500 included in your packet. And so, like I said, the staff recommendation is to approve this reimbursement contingent upon McElroy making that payment for the invoice, and then we would then reimburse McElroy for that expense on their property. Make sense? Questions, concerns? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve this recommendation?
And it got the approval of the historic preservation.
Yes. All of this got approval from HPC prior to even being completed.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Beatty, question?
She asked for $3,000.
But it only amounted to $2,500, so it's
that's
actually
all
less.
spent.
It's actually less than what we had originally budgeted for the expenditure. I think the original invoice was $3,336.31, but the expenditure wound up just being $2,500. So it's less than what we originally had quoted.
So we're reimbursing her for,
We'll reimburse just the $2,500 as presented on this invoice from Superior Construction LLC. And that should be the second piece in your in this little packet. So the first piece is going to be the facade grant final inspection. And I have already, done that inspection, so all work has been completed. I've just yet to receive the receipt from McLaury making that reimbursement. And then once I receive that receipt, she'd then be eligible for that, or they would be eligible for that 50% reimbursement. And then the next one's going to be that invoice.
Okay. So I
Okay.
was just wondering why there was a difference.
It would just happen to be a little bit less than what we had already, what they came to the table first time around. Exactly, so we're not going to complain about that. Okay. The next item up for discussion will be item F, and that is the facade reimbursement request for upper crust, which is 106 West Main Street. This facade grant final inspection has fully been completed. All invoices have been paid. All requests have been reimbursed on their end, so this would just need to be a motion to approve the $5,000 reimbursement for upper crust. I think the total investment on this property was about $17,000. So we'd be reimbursing $5,000 of that expense. And obviously this is night and day. You look at the before and after
the
pictures.
Lane and them spent.
They spent $7,500 of their own money.
Okay, so here's what is confusing to me.
Okay.
Because you're allowed 50% of what you spent. So
50% of the total project. So like this project was a joint project between the HGTV film studio and then Miss Coggins.
Okay. I don't know, for some reason I was thinking the facade grant was what you,
So total, it was $7,500 right there that Lane and Deanne
Yeah.
paid out of pocket, and then $6,610 was what Hometown paid for the facade. So total, it was $14,000, just under $14,000.
okay.
So the motion would be to reimburse the $5,000. Questions, concerns? Hearing none, hear a motion?
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And the truth being, the owner and or in this case, HGTV and her could both, it's kind of a joint project.
It is.
They did part, you did part.
If they want to, they can
And
split 2,500,
reimbursable is up to
2,500,
5,000.
up to 5,000 total.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion on that too.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. So the next item up for discussion is the facade grant application for Mr. Dave Piper at 208 South Center Street. Mr. Piper came to us, I believe it was back in November, asking for a facade grant for his building, for new signage on the exterior of the building. This was prior approved by Historic Preservation Commission. At the time, we tabled this item and we requested that Mr. Piper go back and receive a quote for pressure washing the building, as well as let's have some conversations on how we could have some future uses for the back of the building and cleaning up that space. Since that, Mr. Piper has provided, the pressure washing quote from Squeaky Bees, as well as we have had discussions with Mr. Piper on some usage in the back of the building, and he is all on board. Once we get some concepts developed that we all agree on, he's all for doing some easement transfer and working with us to clean up that back alley space. So staff recommendation would be to approve this facade grant for Mr. Piper in total $1,085.88 for new signage on the exterior of Fund 101 and pressure washing of the structure.
Is it gonna be contingent on him agreeing to,
If you would mind, if you would like to make that stipulation, you can.
So he hasn't done pressure washing yet, right?
no,
Yeah, I think it needs to be contingent on.
well, yeah, the final reimbursement will.
Well, the final reimbursement is contingent upon all work being completed as approved, so that's not an issue. I think she may be more so, we're talking about contingent upon him working the easement stuff with us for the back of the property.
I mean, I haven't talked to him personally, but I was standing there when he said he was all on board and all of that, but, at least I'll make the motion that we approve his facade grant and make it contingent upon him exercising his best efforts to cooperate with us in the development of the parking lot and the area behind him.
I like that. You guys think, like that?
I like that.
I hear a second for that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, let me just ask one last question.
Yes, sir.
So, and I totally agree with where we want to go with this, but are we putting a stipulation on him that we would not be?
No, so it's contingent upon him making his best effort to work with us on any future developments for the south side of the property. And that's just saying that, we wanted to make sure that Dave is willing to work with us. And I truly believe that Dave wants to see the best done for that property. I'll be honest, I want to recognize Dave. This is the 50th year anniversary of Dave owning Fund 101. It's been a staple in this community. I grew up listening to it. We all have listened to Fund 101. And I think it's very important that we recognize Dave for his investment in our community and being a part of this community with the radio station, because not many small towns have radio stations like that anymore. So I think this is a great way to help, to assist him, get him some new signage, and show that we want to continue to support him and what he's doing. And he's willing to work with us.
I know where it is.
Okay. All right. Okay, the next item up for discussion, I just want to talk about the DDA parking lot. I know we've had a lot of conversations, some Facebook posts and, concerns, and I want to let it be known that, from the city perspective, nothing will be done prior to having conversations with those property owners, with those business owners, having some community feedback, making sure whatever we do with that back alley space works for everyone involved, or at least we try to address questions and concerns and, respect everyone that's at the table. So kind of let you know where we're at so far and what has happened. With the parking lot concept, I met with Anna Jordan, Miss Susan Jordan's daughter, back last Saturday. She's a student at UGA in the landscape architecture school, so she actually does concepts and renderings and stuff. And so she's going to be working up some proposals and some concepts for us for that back alley space. Once we have those, my goal is to have a listening session, a feedback session with the property owners, with the business owners, kind of figure what works, what doesn't work. Listen to some questions, have some dialogue, just create some dialogue, of we're here to listen and respect what you have to say. So we're really excited about that. Anna has also said, I've had issue with individuals wanting to apply for the facade grant, but they don't have any way to actually create the renderings because they don't know how. So Anna said that she'd be more than happy to actually partner with some of the businesses in their applications for the facade grant and provide those renderings, help the business owner's image come to life. So I think she's going to be a great asset for us. And the fact that she's from Thomaston and she wants to be a part of this transformation, I think that's huge. So the health spa building, it is currently under contract. Mr. John and Kylie Haslam, they have moved to Thomaston from Texas. They purchased the castle out on Goshen Road, and they're looking to do some investment in downtown. As of right now, their goal is to have second-story residential at that building, 4 to 6 spaces. And then have 3 leasable spaces on the bottom floor. They're looking to do a mural on the back of the building, really bring some vibrancy and life into that structure. And I'm really excited. That'd be a big project and could be a staple in downtown Thomaston. So
So one of the things, the calls that I'd gotten from somebody was about, they had heard that there was talk about where the dumpsters are and the grease bins are. And I really hate where they're located, that it's right in the middle of that parking lot, which could be beautiful.
Good.
And I just, and I understand the concerns of where's my parking gonna be, but,
Yes.
we own a large portion of that space.
We do.
And I hope that we'll work to try to find a place, and their complaint was, well, now, if you put it
At
down,
the front of the lot.
then they got a lot more way to walk. Well, 20 yards is a lot more way to walk. I mean, and if you're gonna have potential residences there, you want it to look.
You wanted something concealed.
As nice as can be. And again, if you haven't seen what we've got at the bank, you wouldn't know there's a dumpster there. It is really done nice, and I say,
So speaking on that, that's
How
what
do
we,
they access it at the bank? Is it,
it has two doors that open.
Okay.
They come in after hours when you don't have cars parked right there. They wouldn't be able to access it during hours if cars are parked there. And then you just open up those things, and they can drive a truck right up, lift it, dump it, put it back,
Okay.
and close the doors down.
which way did the doors face?
They open towards the parking lot. They
Um,
open north.
Okay, yeah, that was a problem, I think, where Taylor and Maria and I met over there talking about it one day, and we had talked about moving it to the front of the parking lot, and then there was some discussion that maybe the trucks could not
access.
it if we put it in, and so that's gonna be the problem. I mean, it's real easy for them to pull in straight and do that where they're sitting now.
Yeah.
Um,
And they also have grease traps back there, so the restaurants, that's where they take their grease as well, which.
Yeah, and the tough thing is where those grease traps are all in the same location,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it difficult with where the trucks come in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've still got a long way to go on this. Nothing is set in stone, and it's going to take having these conversations with our business owners, having these conversations with GFL to make sure wherever we do place this dumpster that it does work for them. We've got to get everyone that this is going to affect to the table, and let's just sit down and have that dialogue and figure out what works, what doesn't work, and go from there.
Those grease traps, somebody has to bring the grease out of the restaurant and pour it in those. I wonder if there's not some way we can work it out to put them closer to
Closer to the
the
business.
businesses.
So I think the reason they are where they are is because that back alley, which is
Still
actually,
accessible.
yes, and it's also, I think it's a city,
It is.
it's a city road. And so,
It's a city-owned alleyway, is what she's saying.
It's city owned,
Yes.
but I mean.
So the businesses-
But part of it's, still owned. I think the end down there where Slices and maybe, Slices may have been done. But maybe the corner building, maybe,
English.
like English.
they may still own their
I'll have
part.
to look at Q
I'll
Public.
have, well, I pulled my file, but I did not bring it. I wrote all those deeds where the business owners were transferring their part of the alley
Mhm.
to the Downtown Development Authority.
I got you.
So the city doesn't own it.
Okay.
The Development Authority owns all that.
Which works
So,
perfect for us.
Yeah.
And again, if we could figure out something that might work closer to the building, obviously
Yeah.
we would love to have some of that area back there, pedestrian access. But we do have some businesses down there that do have drop-off locations and need to access that back parking lot and behind their buildings.
So if they put the grease traps closer to your buildings, is that gonna block, I mean, if you have a delivery, is that gonna block?
I guess it would just depend where, because that's another thing too, is I know we have, at least at Slices, maybe like 7 deliveries a week between food, beverages. That doesn't even include Sabrosa's. I don't know what theirs are. So we would still have to make sure that big trucks are still able to access that area.
do they drop off in front of your building or they drop off behind?
They drop off behind,
In the parking lot back there?
yes.
They pull in?
Mhm.
They pull in the parking lot, not down the alley.
I've honestly never, I don't know if they're parked in a parking, I guess they're parked in a parking space and they back up to that back door.
Is the truck that comes and picks up the,
That's
is the
what
truck
they do.
that comes and picks up the grease trap, the grease, is that a pretty big truck too?
I
I
don't,
spoke to them, I mean, I'm not on the board, but may I speak?
Yeah, go
Because I spoke to them, the people out of Dublin that pick up the grease, and they can be located, as far as they're concerned, they can be located closer to the building. There's a certain distance because the truck comes in there with a hose. It depends on how long that hose is, how far it can get from that grease
To reach.
trap. Yeah.
So that may be a problem if we do what the plan says and block off
The
that.
full.
Depends
Yeah.
on, because when I was there in the parking lot one day, a truck backed in there, and it only backed as far as it could near the dumpster,
Mhm.
and then from there delivered. So I would think if the grease truck could back that close, if the hose is that long, then it would work.
It may, yeah, okay, yeah.
and then the other thing is just, all of the utilities are back there, the power,
Mhm.
so they would have to be able to access it too unless we moved all of those too.
And obviously, we would love to clean up some of the back of those buildings,
Oh,
because
for sure.
there's some stuff, there's some wires and stuff on there that are not even utilized
Right,
anymore, they're just kind of
right.
hanging there.
Right.
So, old cable wires and stuff like that, just over the years, they're not even in use anymore, but they're still in the back of the building. So if there's something like that we could potentially have removed, that'll clean up the back of those buildings. And I think when I was working for Sylvia back in like 2009, volunteering with the city, they had come up with a rendering of doing some painting on the backs of the buildings, making that space, just beautifying it a little bit. And if we could at least even do that, just to try to clean that up and make that look better, perception's key.
And I think we need to be real pretty by the time we are airing on HGTV.
So
So we're gonna have, though, a public meeting
Yes.
that those owners can come?
yes. The goal, like I said, I met with Anna last Saturday. The goal is develop a couple concepts, look at it, see what we think would work, and then have those meetings, get some feedback, and then go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, based off these comments, where do we need to make some changes? And then have another meeting. And if it takes another one, we'll have another one. I mean, I want to make sure that we try our best to at least address concerns and questions. I'm not here to just completely disregard everything. Other things we kind of talked about: repaving, resurfacing the DDA lot. So I did meet with Guy Robinson to get some cost. If we were to do a full asphalt repair, looking at like $32,000. So that's ripping up everything, milling everything, completely repaving the entire DDA parking lot. Seal coating is 3.4. But Russell has also said we could have enough asphalt left over from our paving project to completely repave that parking lot. So that might work where we don't have to actually spend any funds on this project to repave that. So if we can take that route, obviously to me that's the preferred route, and we can dedicate those funds to something else. We met Miss Marie was able to get me in touch with Cherokee Brick and Tile, Mr. Travis Raines, to at least look at it and figure out ballpark where we might be if we were to do like a dumpster enclosure similar to Southcrest. And you're looking around 6.2K. I think we may have some bricks from the Martha Mills down at Public Works that we could potentially utilize for that, and that could cut down some of the cost. But that price and design is subject to change based on the final concept, and then what works for GFL as well with removing the trash.
And it doesn't have to be brick.
It doesn't have to be, no.
Yeah.
But obviously, I love the way that looks at the Colony Bank, and I would love to have something at least of aesthetic pleasing, to try to conceal. And I think the big thing for us is try to mitigate some of this illegal dumping that's happening, because that happens every day in that parking lot. It's an open area. You can just kind of pull back up there. It's not very well lit, and people just throw trash back there, and we're definitely trying to stop that.
And the render, in the master plan, it extends the brick wall, and there's some like brick inlay and concrete path and all that. So, but when we met with Travis, he said, you can always use a lot of cinder block and then cover
brick.
it with brick so that you're not, to cut down on your expenses.
Yeah.
So.
Now, in the grease trap, like how many of those receptacles are there? Is
There's
there
one large one.
Just one large one? Okay.
And so, Barristos, you guys share that one?
Yes.
One per
That's,
business.
One per business.
I'm not totally sure on that. I think there's one large one, but I'm not sure.
To look at it, because some of those grease traps, I'm not even sure if all those grease traps are being used now.
Which,
They are, all of them?
Yeah.
And they're required by law that each business has to have one,
Okay, so Sabroso's has one, and then Slices.
and the pool room.
So the pool room, they're
Across,
across the street.
Across the street.
yeah, not the,
Because they don't have
yeah,
one
not
there,
English's,
they come in
the
there.
other pool room.
And then moved Englishes.
Okay. Okay. And then we have talked to Mr. Piper about the satellites at Fund 101, and he has told us that 3 of those satellites can come down this year, and then 1 is going to be replaced with a smaller, more compact, newer satellite. But the big tower can't go anywhere. But I did task Anna with thinking about something outside the box to try to maybe even conceal. It makes at least make it look a little better than the metal fencing that's currently in place surrounding that tower, as well as maybe even instead of rebuilding that wooden trellis wall, maybe tying into the actual metal beams that are there from the building that was behind Fund 101 and doing something, a concept based around that. Because that trellis wall, is constantly, if it's out, it's in the weather, it's constantly going to be weatherized, and you're going to have to constantly replace it. Versus if we can tie into that metal structure that's already in there and do something artsy that kind of looks really well and a cool design, I think that may be an alternative we can take. Questions, concerns, discussion, feedback. Like I said, we're just getting started on this. Obviously, we would love to have a plan dialed down. I think I think our show might air May 22nd, which would be a Sunday, because the first episode is going to air Sunday, April 24th, and we're the 5th episode. So I believe we're going to air on Sunday, May the 22nd, if they do, 1 episode new a week. So obviously I would love to have at least something dialed down by May, because the thought was to have some type of little printout done with, we could sit on site saying, coming soon to downtown Thomaston, and at least let people know that, while we may not have started on the project yet, we do recognize that we want to improve this area. And for people that are coming into our community, they're like, oh man, look at this, we don't want to come out to Thomaston. They see that and like, oh, well, they realize that this is an issue and they're trying to fix this. And look at this grand plan they got for this back alley space. And the same idea, once we finalize a concept for the downtown farmers and artisan market, the same idea, have something out there, just let people know that not only are we expecting private businesses to invest in downtown, but as a public entity, the city of Thomaston is willing to invest money and time and effort into cleaning up downtown Thomaston.
I think too, for people who've invested and put restaurants down there, which is something we very much need, the fact that we would make the effort to do this and get it done in a reasonable amount of time and try to solve what issues we can about, making it, there's certain things we're going to have to just work with, but I think it would hopefully be an incentive to people willing to make an investment like these
Most definitely.
Mexican restaurant.
And obviously the goal of the back of that space, if we can make that more pedestrian friendly for you guys, being able to access that and have that outside space. I think one of the biggest issues we have in downtown when it comes to restaurants, people want to sit outside, but when you have tractor trailers driving by you on the front of that square, you can't even hear yourself think. So if we can activate that space behind some of these buildings and at least have some tables and chairs and try to clean it up a little bit, make it functionable, our businesses, at least our restaurants, I believe, will really like that, and the fact that they can utilize that space.
I mean, it'd be great if we could put like a window on the back and people could just walk up and order, but I mean, our kitchen's back there, so that would take some maneuvering, but I mean.
But if we were to back,
right.
it could be something down the line that might be feasible.
Right.
So if we've got tables and stuff, one of the rendition shows tables back there, who's going to keep that clean?
So
the downtown.
So right now, Kyle is working on scheduling interviews for the downtown beautification technician position. So that's a full-time position that will be in place in downtown. Similar to Mr. Alfonso. When Mr. Alfonso was in charge of the downtown square, Mr. Alfonso took pride in making sure downtown Thomaston was clean and kept, and there were no issues. And when there were issues, our business owners knew, let Mr. Alfonso know, and he's going to get it taken care of. And I want my business owners to have the same type of conversations with our new person once they get hired. Because I'm not always able to be on the square, so I can't know every single issue. So if I have someone with good customer service that also wants to take pride and ownership in that position, and making sure that once we make these changes in downtown Thomaston, that it's kept that way.
And I will say, it's all about who you hire in that position, because Mr. Alfonso took pride in that, and you just kind of have somebody that looks that this is more than just a job.
It is.
This is a job that's connected into the image of this community, and to the people who own these businesses, showing that this is important to us, to everything downtown.
My thought process, like I met with Mr. Alfonso last year. We kind of walked around the square. He showed me what he used to do. He's like, if I saw this, while maybe outside my territory, if I could take care of it in 5 minutes, I would do it, because it's something I can address real quick. So my thought process was, once we hire this full-time person, I'm going to call Mr. Alfonso and bring him back in, and I want to do a walkthrough of downtown, and let's discuss. If Mr. Alfonso, if you saw that, what would you do? And I want that expectation to be set from the beginning, so that new person knows this is what our expectation is. Okay, next order of business, kind of want to fill you in on the Art and Soul Fest that is tentatively scheduled for April 22nd through April 24th. We had a meeting of our Art and Soul Planning Committee last night, lots of good feedback, still have lots of questions I've got to address and figure out what we're doing and how we're going to do it, but we're going to do this and we're going to make it happen, and I'm really excited about making this an our inaugural Spring Art Festival, and hopefully an annual event that we do for the community every spring. So right now the schedule is, we'll have a downtown art walk. This will be an art crawl where we'll have local regional artists that can go in and display some of their work in the downtown businesses. You might have a photographer displaying some of her work. You might have an artist displaying some of his paintings. You might have a woodworker that wants to show some of their bowls. That's the thought process. And then have some wineries, breweries on site for a sip and stroll. And I'll be honest, I've had some issues getting some wineries and breweries on board. So if you have any connections, have any contacts, that would be a tremendous help.
I can reach out to Pauline for sure.
So if you know some wineries that or breweries that might want to participate in this,
Where would on-site be?
So that was the question. I reached out to Americus. They do a wine and chocolate walk, and the way they have it set up is basically they have pouring locations inside some of the businesses. So not only when you go in the business do you see the artist, but you can try a sample of this wine or try a sample of this beer while you're in the business. So it could be where we have, if we can get 2 or 3, wineries, breweries on board, we could have, an artist here and then a wine sampling here as well. And so the goal is to have a map with locations for all of our businesses that are involved with the art walk. That beer is available at these businesses, that wine is available at these businesses. And then on the other side, you have a map for Saturday, which is our arts and crafts vendor fair at Greatest Generation Park. So with the Pine Thicket now having power, we're looking to have vendors, arts and crafts vendors spread down throughout the Pine Thicket, do a chalk festival around the ponds, have some food trucks in the parking lot, the stage area, have some local performers, maybe in like Armstrong School of Dance, maybe have some of their dance students come out and do a small little recital, a way to get the youth involved, engage the community. Cool piece to me, along the Pine Thicket with the arts and crafts vendors, I want to have little areas for demonstration. So you might have a group over here of doing a plein air artist painting a scene of Hagen's Mountain that you can see from the park. Over here you might have a woodworking group chiseling away at some bowls or something. Over here you might have Derek Spivey, our metal artist, and some of his friends doing an art piece, welding an art piece together in the park. Over here you might have Miss Marianne Hughes with her pottery club, actually with the pottery wheels, where you can try firsthand, your hand at pottery. I want some stuff that's actually interactive, where people will want to come back and experience that every year. And then we're looking to do a children's zone where they can do some Play-Doh art. I'm working with Kashawn Barron down at the 4-H Extension Agency. She's wanting to lead that area. As a part of this, we're doing fire hydrant paintings. Those are all due by February 25th. We're looking to paint an additional 48 fire hydrants as a part of this process. So far, I probably got about 35 applications, with 31 of those I picked up from the high school last week. I've shared this with the high school, the middle school, as well as Skipstone Academy. Again, I really want to get our youth involved with this. I think this is a great way for them to have a palette in our community. They're also participating in a t-shirt design contest. So they're looking to design the t-shirts for the festival, and those are all due by the 25th of February. The other piece for this project is a mural restoration project. So I think I may have mentioned this before. I've been coordinating with Jameson at the Archives and Color the World Bright, which is a group from the Lamar Dodd School of Art at UGA. And they basically, that's what they do. They come in and they restore your iconic classic murals. So I've got a little handout right here if you want to check those out. Those are just some basic renderings of the murals we're looking to replace. So it would be a Royal Crown mural on the side of Cook's. And so these are murals that were actually there back in the day. The only one that wasn't in that spot was the one at Cook's. It was on this wall that now has windows and doors where Papa John's is. So we would just kind of be relocating that one to across from Baby Lane's. But these other murals were actually in that position on that building at one time in downtown Thomaston. So to do all three of these murals, a Coke mural on the side of Slices, the Royal Crown mural on the side of Day Realty, and the Royal Crown mural on the side of Cook's, we'd be looking at $11,200 to do all three. And to me, that is not a bad price for 3 brand new murals in downtown Thomaston. So I'm really looking to do some fundraising for this event, see if we can get some funds raised to help make this possible. I really think that just bringing back some of these iconic murals we've had in the past in downtown Thomaston just helps push what we're trying to do, is convey that sense of optimism and vibrancy around the square. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Have we had any input about, I love murals, and I think it's something, but if we had anybody chip in, because I remember at one point when, of course, the murals uptown cost more, and at one point, we had some negative reaction to that.
So I'm getting ready to push this out and request feedback. I have approached all these property owners with, hey, we're looking to do this, and their reception has been positive. Oh, we'd love to have this. I know Jared mentioned wanting to do the Coke mural, as well as the Sunnyside Tavern mural, which they're quoting as well. I spoke to Miss Jan over at Day Realty and showed her the old picture of the Royal Crown mural on top of Day Realty, and then the one we're looking to create, and she loved that. And I spoke to Mr. Patel last week about the one on Cooks, and he was pretty receptive of that too. And so all of this would have to go before HPC in March, and the goal would be to have these murals completed during the week of the art festival, and then reveal them that Sunday.
And this is exactly what they look like?
Yes.
Wow, and did Jameson do that research? How'd you ever find that?
The pictures?
Yeah.
So Jameson provided the pictures from the past. She went through some of the old yearbooks and found some old, the R.C. Cole one on Cook, she found that in an old R.E. Lee yearbook from an ad. And so she got that one. And then she just had some historic photos that she had shared with me over time. And I was like, man, that's really cool how they used to have a Coke mural up there. And just over time, the town has kind of lost some of those. Sabroso's had a Coke mural on the front of it. Slices had a Coke mural on the front and the side of it. There was a Coke mural going down the wall of Tidal Wave, that big long wall. There was a Coke mural there. I mean, there's been several of these, iconic branded murals in downtown Thomaston. Just over the years, we've just kind of lost them. And if we can come in and recreate 3 of these murals and all that color for $11,000, I think this is a great way to bring some positivity and light into the community. Here, I'll pass that down to
And
you guys
you're
too.
talking about funding it completely with donations?
I'm not going to say we have to fund it completely, but if we can raise some funds to make this possible, the more the merrier. And my fundraising goal is going to be more for the art festival in general, and I'm going to establish like a fundraising guideline and sponsorship levels, and then because we need some funds for the chalk festival as well. We'll be having some funds coming in from the applications for the vendors, but we've got a couple other expenditures, so I am looking for sponsors for this event. And I'm going to start really pushing the pavement next week to try to gather those sponsors.
Do you have to pay for the alcohol that the wineries and breweries bring?
So that was a conversation we were having last night on how we want to do that. What Americus does for their Women's Wine and Chocolate Walk, they sell tickets, pre-advanced tickets, like for $30, and then you get a branded cup and a little goodie bag and a map, and then you can go around and you can just try a sample of each beer, wine. We talked about maybe doing tickets where you could purchase, a ticket for $5 or something like that, and then try stuff. Still trying to figure that out, and I'd love feedback on what you think would work and what you
Wine
think.
straw, the Beltline wine straw, that's what you do. You pay for it.
Mhm.
When you get there, you get a cup, and you can go anywhere and get your sample in the cup.
So asking
That
you,
seems to work very well.
as someone that I would hope would attend this event, would you feel comfortable paying, say, $20 for a ticket? You get your cup, you get your map, you get a little goodie bag with some goodies from our downtown businesses, and then you can walk around to any of the businesses and try the wine and sip and stroll.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what the wine straw is, but last time we $50 or $75.
And see, obviously, if we can continue to grow this event, we can make that a little steeper, but we can also provide a better quality event.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than what this is going to be.
But I think this is a start.
To start with.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they have something to take away with it.
Exactly. So we would look to use our little branded Go Cups for this event. So it's a great way to get that out there, and people know that we have these Go Cups in downtown as well. Okay. Last but not least, just a couple things I want to hit on. I've included the report from the Facade Grant in your packet. Basically, this is just where we're at so far with our Facade Grant funds. It's before and after pictures, as well as a breakdown of expenses that have been expended so far. This was completed prior to council on Tuesday. So where it says project reimbursed, these two say no because we had yet to approve these projects for reimbursement. So after today, I'll be able to update these to yes. And so we have expended a total of $9,799.81, but a total project investment of $24,070.73. Council did allocate an additional $10,000 at Tuesday night session, so we can receive applications. We can fund Mr. Piper's new signage, and we have about $9,000 remaining to do a couple more projects in downtown Thomaston. If you have anyone or know of anyone interested in applying for the Facade Grant, please let me know. If they have issues working on the rendering, like I said, Anna Jordan would be more than happy to help them with the rendering and put something together. I really think this program is making a difference in downtown, and I really think it's helping to push that vision of revitalization that we're looking to do. Questions, concerns?
Good job.
All right, so last things I have, if you haven't completed the commitment letters, which I think you all have, appreciate that. I'm just going to put these in your file, and this is just something that has been done in the past, but I couldn't find them. So now I have them. And then I'm working on something, the piano. I'm working on the piano. So the piano needs some love, though.
It does.
It needs some love. It's not in the best shape. I really need someone that can look at it and tell me what needs to be done to make it a workable, functioning piano. So if you guys know of anyone that might have some knowledge,
I got somebody.
because I've got it. It's over at Cotton Avenue, but Miss Rebecca Morris said that when she looked at it, it was in pretty rough shape. She told me, and I can read the message to you. If you want me to read it to you.
It wasn't when it left my house.
Well, it's been over there for a minute, hasn't it?
No,
How long has it been over there?
no.
She
Less than
said,
a year.
you'll need to find someone to repair it. Where is it at? It said the paddles are off. And then they're missing the wheels, but I had the two wheels.
You have the wheels.
I had lost the wheels, but I did find them in my office. I was like, where did I put these wheels at? But I did find them.
But something had to
Just
be
get with me, let's go
transported.
over and look at it, and I've got somebody come to me and get it up.
Perfect. Because the goal is to have that painted and put that downtown, and have like a functional, painted piano downtown underneath one of the awnings of the building. So it could be like Reams, or it could be Rescue Me, or the Chamber, or something like that, and then have like just a cool painted piano in downtown Thomaston. And I think it'd be awesome to have that in place for this art walk in downtown. And you might find a random person that plays the piano that might want to get out there and start jamming. We had talked about having maybe a saxophone player in this little corner, an acoustic guitar player over here, having some little, nothing wired, but some nice little music on the square alongside of the art walk. So if we could have the piano down there too, and it be in working condition, that'd be a great addition to the event. That's all I have. Any questions, concerns? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, guys, we're going to adjourn this meeting at, looks like it's 2:54 p.m. Miss McGill. Cut this up.
Good job.